Hey everybody, thanks for hopping on. I'm going to give people just a minute or so to hop in and file in. We'll get started. While people are filing in, again, thanks so much for joining us today for our Valor PayTech webinar. I'm Ryan Dosen, Director of Sale here at Host. Chris Clements joining here today, VP of Sales here. We may have some other team members on here as well. I'm gonna kind of run through everything here. Feel free to type in questions in the chat. We will probably have some team members here that can answer some questions. We'll also have some time at the end for answering questions. I think we're probably going to get you out of here a little bit earlier than normal today. But let's go ahead and hop in. So again, thanks so much for joining. I see a lot of familiar faces already filed into the room. Appreciate you guys showing up today as well as for our previous weekly webinars. As you guys have seen, we're looking to add value into your lives every single week here on Thursdays at 1 o'clock. We want to ask that you kind of earmark Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern for the time when we're going to be bringing you guys value, a lot of information value, training value, ways that you guys can, sell more merchants and bring in more business. Here at Host, your success as agents is our top priority. We're committed to bringing you guys exceptional support with dedicated guidance, fast responses, real solutions, so you can focus on building your books of business. At Host here, we've got 24/7 tech support. As you know, you got personal relationship managers that know your business, streamline merchant approvals, get your clients up and running fast. We're trying to deliver the type of partnership that you all really need in order to succeed at a high level and grow your business. A lot of you already know you have access to a pretty much unmatched selection of payment techs here with Host. We're going to focus on one of them today, which is Valor. We've covered some others in past weeks. We're going to cover some more in the weeks to come. But other things you have available to you, Deja Vu, Clover, Ingenico, Swipe Simple, lots of different gateways. We also have the Cloud Manager software suite, which we covered recently. We're going to be circling back to the Cloud Manager suite here in the coming weeks. We have some exciting developments there that we feel like are going to position you to be able to place people using that tech as well. But anyway, thanks so much again for joining us today. And let's go ahead and hop in. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, so again, thanks for joining us today for Close More Deals with Valor PayTech. Again, I'm Ryan. We've got Chris and Eric on the meeting as well. Feel free to type in your questions if you have any along the way. They can probably chime in and help, and at the end we'll have some time for answering questions then too. Again, the goal today is to introduce you guys or to level up your knowledge around Valor PayTech and to help you guys build your books of business. Just want to give a brief overview of some of the highlights before we dive into the demo and the specifics. But again, we've got a fully integrated cloud-based platform, sleek point-of-sale devices, and an easy-to-use virtual terminal. We're going to hop into that virtual terminal here in a few minutes. Inside the virtual terminal, you're able to do one-off sales. You're also able to set up recurring transactions. We've got e-invoicing capabilities. You've also got QR code payment links that can be generated. We're going to show you how to do that. Valor has rolled out something they call Valor Shield RT, which provides enhanced fraud prevention on the transactions for the merchants. There's also something that they're calling the Vault, which is a secure repository for the clients and for the client's info and for their payment information. We'll touch on that here in a few minutes. There's also a baked-in customer marketing program called Engage My Customer. We're going to show you a little bit about that later. It's something that they've rolled out here recently, and it is an add-on, but if you bundle everything, it winds up being pretty affordable for your merchants and probably a pretty good idea for them. You've got detailed reporting. We'll get into a little bit of that. Valor does integrate with QuickBooks, and there are some level 2, level 3 optimizations available, and we'll get into some of the specifics here, shortly. All right, so we'll hop into the demo here in just one second. Before I get into that, I just wanted to share a few slides with you all to go over the dual pricing functionality that's built in to the Valor technology. So you can see up here on the left, you've got on the devices themselves, it's a little fuzzy, but at the top, you've got basically a card price, and you've got below that the EBT and cash price, right? So it's, you know, dual pricing. They can see both prices right there, and the customer can decide what they're going to pay and, what they're going to be charged. Okay. It's available. There's receipt transparency, and it's available on a wide range of their devices. This coming straight from the Valor PayTech materials themselves. They kind of give their take on what dual pricing is, and a lot of times there's a lot of confusion out there. So again, dual pricing allows merchants to offer two different transaction amounts to customers paying with cash versus a card. Prices are displayed as we showed you just a second ago, on the device, and right here you can see if you can see up close, you got the card price of $10.40 and the EBT and cash price of $10. So you've got the 4% add-on happening there. And if customer chooses to pay with a card, the discount's not applied during the transaction, obviously. Um, Maybe a little bit difficult to see the receipts, but you've got the side-by-side receipts there. The one on the left is the dual pricing with the card purchase. Okay, so you have highlighted in green, there's the amount $10.40, and underneath it says discount of 0, right? So the total is $10.40 because someone's paying with a card versus the receipt on the right when they're paying with cash. The amount is $10.40 and it writes it up as a discount of 40 cents. And so the total for the customer is $10. And so they're able to see that they paid less by virtue of paying by cash. These are a couple of slides that they put together also to kind of show what it used to look like versus what it's going to look like now. Okay, so in the past, it would just kind of show the amount, right? And then there might be a non-cash adjustment or something like that that would show up on the receipt. And again, that wasn't always as transparent as people would like. Now it's much clearer on these devices, card price, EBT cash price, and on the receipt, they're able to see what's going on and what they paid for. All right, so now let's hop in here and we're going to get into the portal itself. Okay, so we're logged in here right now. This is our demo account. Just a few things about the demo account. It's not built out with a ton of transactions right now. It's just a demo account. So obviously there's not a ton in here, but we're able to see information like the gross sales, the total numbers of transactions, the average volume per day, any refunds that have been issued. You're able to look at a total transaction overview. There was, one transaction of 250 yesterday and then one transaction today on the 17th of 20, and you'll see what those transactions were in just a second. Transaction volume breakdown. Are there any recurring charges going on? And we'll show you how to set those up in just a second, as well as a rundown of, what were the last 10 transactions. You're able to see those down here on the main screen. Imagine a merchant's going to log in. What are the things going to be most important for them to see when they log in? Well, seeing the most recent transactions is a good start. On the right-hand side, you've got some information about the stores and the users and the devices. Obviously, if you got multiple devices, you're gonna see that number going up. You've got, number of transactions that have not yet been settled out. Ability to take a payment, invoice, or QR code is over there, but it's also able to be addressed on the left in the main menu, and we'll kind of go through that here in just a second. All right, so users, we're not going to get into users, but obviously you're going to have users, merchants are going to have users set up, and when you're boarding people with us, you're going to have a little bit of help with support getting that set up. We're going to hop in here to transactions, and here in transactions, again, you're able to see the transactions, right? The transactions that happen. So you've got, first thing of note, of course, on the left, you'll see these green checks, versus these red minuses, right? So again, the green check means what you think it means, which is that it was a good transaction, it went through, okay? And the red transactions were declined, and if you hover over, you're able to see kind of what the reasons were, and we had some test cards in here, and so, they didn't run through, which is fine. Okay, but the cash transactions, because in theory we collected cash, well, that's going to be good every time. Okay, you're able to see who initiated the transactions, where it was it done in the virtual terminal or on the device, what was the store, who was the customer. You're able to scroll through here and find all of the information in there. Okay, you can search as well. Okay, so transactions is exactly what you think it would be. It's going to be a rundown of the transactions with really clear guidance as to what's been approved and what's not been approved. All right, next, let's hop in here to the virtual terminal. Okay, so in here, as you can see, we've got a bunch of options up here at the top. We've got basically a card sale. I don't know if you can see over here on the right, you've got your card number and where you're going to enter the card information. Okay. You have tabs for recurring, authorization, refund, and e-invoice, QR code, and cash. Okay. We'll go through each one of those. Want to highlight a couple of things in here for the sales, right? So let's say they're going to run a sale. If you have a merchant that builds out kind of an inventory or kind of a menu of options, with costs and stuff, you can come down here to line items and you're able to select, options, that are there for purchase. So like in this case, this is our in-house demo account. So if we come in here to line items, we have a few built out. I'll show you a little bit in a couple of minutes about how we build those out. But you can see that we've got some Philly sports teams and there's a 49ers team. And I'm not sure how San Francisco got in here, but we got a lot of Philly stuff in here. And by way of example, we can just say, okay, that they're gonna buy the Flyers, right? Now you see when I press to buy the Flyers, this modifier list came up. Okay, so don't worry so much about Travis really fast. But let's just talk about modifiers. All right, so imagine the option is hamburger, and then I want to modify it by $1 piece of cheese, something like that, right? So the hamburger could be $10, and you could set it up for a modifier if it's going to be an add-on for, $1 for cheese or $1 for bacon or something like that. Okay, so those would typically be your modifiers. These are going to be add-ons for an individual purchase, and you're able to put that in here. In this case, Travis is a very expensive modifier because I guess he's a player for the Flyers. Full disclosure, I don't know the Flyers team all that well, even though our home base is up there right around Philly. I'm from Florida. I'm a Florida Panthers fan, and so we won this year. So our team probably wouldn't be 250. I guess the Flyers team was less. Sorry, Eric. But anyway, the Panthers, if we're going to have the Panthers in here, they'd probably be a more expensive team than the Flyers were. But anyway, Travis would have been the add-on. We could put him on here. We're not going to buy Travis today. So we're not going to select him. Okay. And then if we're going to put a quantity, we're going to buy one of these. Whoops. Hit the wrong thing. All right, so if we're going to buy one Flyers for $2.50, then we can see that the amount right here is going to be $2.50. Okay, and then we're able to process that transaction there. If we wanted to, it's not, I don't think it's enabled here. Okay, yeah, we can put in a specific discount for a specific cost in here as well. If we want to provide a discount if someone wants to, if someone's a good customer. We're also able to add a customer's address and other information so that we can store that in the vault, which we'll get to in a little bit. Anyway, so we have this transaction here for $2.50. We can add the customer name, phone number, email, invoice, all that description. And then we can add in card number, and then we would just process the payment, which we're not going to do right now. And you can see there's a non-cash charge of 3.5% built in here. So that's being added on to process that payment there. All right. What else do we have? Okay, so I'm going to skip past this and I'm going to go to cash. So this one's easy enough. Like let's say I'm there and we're going to, well, since the Flyers were $2.50, we'll say that Ryan Dosen Ryan.Dosen@hostmerchantservices.com, and invoice 1-2, and the description is going to be the Panthers. We didn't have that in the inventory, but that's going to be a more expensive option. Anyway, so we're able to take that payment right there. And if we process that payment for cash, we can see transaction successful. You're not going to see it right now, but I just got emailed a receipt for that specific transaction. Okay. And if you want to see what those receipts can look like, this is an example of a receipt right here that came to my email for another transaction when we bought the flyers for $250. Okay. All right, so we've got that there. You also have the ability to set up recurring transactions, either in the form of a subscription or in the form of an installment. You can specify the number of installments, or you can specify the number of months, after which the particular subscription is going to expire. Same idea, billing details, card info over here, process the payment, and you can set up a recurring transaction that way. Under authorization, you can just get a card authorization in here. You can issue refunds in here. Also, the e-invoices, are a cool thing. So you have the ability to set up and send out an invoice. Okay. I'm not going to go through all of that setting up process right there, but once you, and you're able to upload a specific file, like for instance, if you have a PDF that you want to upload the actual PDF of the invoice, you owe us $100 and here's the invoice that breaks down all the charges. You're able to put that in with email and phone number, and you're able to hit process payment. And when you do that, it's going to email out the invoice. An invoice is going to come out like this right here. Okay, so this is an invoice that I sent to myself for $10. Okay, and then once I get this, it's saying, okay, yeah, we're good. It's $10.35, and that's including the 3.5% non-cash charge. So it's at least being clear about, hey, you're paying, the reason you're paying $10.35 instead of 10 is because of the non-cash charge. And then if you hit to pay, it's going to bring you to another payment page where you're able to enter all this stuff right here, confirm that you're not a robot, and you're able to send the money out, which is nice and convenient. All right, so we have that there. One other thing I want to show you really fast is the QR codes. Guys, so you are able to generate QR code payment links, and you're able to either have it be for a set amount or you're able to do it for a flexible amount. Okay, and so I actually have something like this going on with one of my clients. There's a Rotary that's going to be taking, they're going to be having a big event in a town square, and they're going to have vendors where you can buy stuff, and they want to have a QR code link where people can just scan it and give a donation, to the Rotary. Okay, so you can set it up to be flexible. You can set it up to never expire, and you can, when you hit process payment, what it's going to do is it's going to set up the QR code. Okay, and if we come in here to manage, we're able to see, first of all, some of the e-invoices that I had sent out to myself. You're able to see recurring billings, which we don't have any. You're also able to see the QR codes that have been established right here. And when I click on this to show the link, it's going to actually pull up the QR code there. If you all wanted to, you could actually scan this QR code, and it's actually going to bring you, to a link where when you go there, you can see that you can actually specify the amount of money that you're going to be sending with a card number and all that. Don't do it. This is not going to the Rotary. This is just a test, but just wanted to show you this and show that you have the ability to create something pretty cool here. I think when I was at my son's baseball tournament, they had something similar like this, where you could just scan the code and you're going to be sending them a certain amount of money, and then you show them the receipt. All right. So we've got that. A couple other things that I want to talk about really fast on the virtual terminal side is level 2, level 3. So in the beginning, you may have seen in the notes a note about TSYS only. So currently, level 2, level 3 optimization is only available on the TSYS network here. And this demo account is set up using Card Connect, so it's not available on this particular account that I'm looking at right now. Level 3 is only available on virtual terminals. Level 2 is available on both physical and virtual terminals, and there's no additional cost for the Level 2, Level 3 optimization. And for those of you that don't know, again, Level 2 and Level 3 optimization is a way to provide additional information around the transaction to the credit card companies, and then they reduce the interchange rates. By providing the additional data, the merchants are demonstrating a higher level of transparency and bringing more security to the transaction, and so the interchange rates are dropped by the card processing company or by the credit card companies. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I said I was going to get you out early. I don't know if I am, but we'll be close. Under device management, we're not going to talk too much about that, but that's where you're going to look at your different devices. Under Engage My Customer, I'm going to come back over here, and we're going to slide from right here from the current slide. So this is taken directly from Valor, just a little bit about their Engage My Customer program. Again, they say that it creates flexible and personalized campaigns. I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do that in a second. You're able to target your VIPs and large spenders. You're able to get more insights for your customers. You're able to send out like things for client surveys. You're also able to do digital receipt marketing. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a broad stroke overview of some of the highlights on this Engage My Customer program. We'll get into it later in the total cost. The cost is an add-on. I think it's $9.95, $9.99 per month, but when you bundle everything, it winds up being only about $2 for the merchants per month to have this. So it's pretty affordable and cool. In here, under Engage My Customer, it's pretty simple and straightforward. You know, you're able to add a campaign. And so when you add the campaign, you're able to create it with, you know, you're able to go, okay, I want to use a certain promotion. You're able to name the campaign. And the templates that they have built into the system would be loyal customers, which would be people that have visited more than a certain number of times in a certain number of days. You're able to do lost customers, which would probably be people that have, you know, maybe not visited, you know, in a certain amount of time. You're also able to look at high spenders, so people that have crossed a certain threshold, which you can customize each one of these. People that have crossed a certain threshold of spending in a certain amount of time, and then you want to reward them with either a fixed or a percentage, you know, discount for their, you know, for their future purchases. Okay, so in here we've got. I went ahead and set up one test campaign. And again, this one was set up under the loyal customers. It was an SMS campaign. And under here was going to be the loyal customers, people that have been here twice in the last 2 weeks. And we're going to offer them a fixed, you know, $5, $5 off. And then that can be sent out to, you know, our group of customers. So it's a pretty cool thing. There's not a ton of bells and whistles to it, but again, I think it covers a lot of the bases that you're going to be looking for, right? I want to reward the people that are spending a lot of money or coming here a lot, or I want to get back in front of those people that aren't here as much as they should be, right? Or as much as they have been in the past, right? So those are typically going to be the things that the merchants are going to want to do. For a couple of bucks a month to be able to quickly and easily reach out to these people, I think it's a pretty good deal. All right, so that's Engage My Customer. Valor Shield, I'm not going to get into that, but again, that's around security and fraud prevention. There's a ton of new stuff that they've built in to the system to prevent fraud and to add security. Contact us, tickets, you're able to create tickets if they have any issues in here. You all know that with Host, you have just about the best customer support with us that you could, you know, that anyone's going to get anywhere. The vault, which I mentioned a while ago, we're able to look at a list of like all our customers that have been saved in here. So right now we just have good old Ryan. If we want to add a customer, we're able to come in here. We're able to put the customer's name, if he's got a company, phone number, email, details about the customer. That may be an interesting thing or a good thing to have. So when we look someone up, we know more about them, kind of CRM style. Able to enter and save card information as well as address, billing address, shipping address, all that stuff in here. And again, stuff's going to be tokenized. It's going to be PCI compliant, and it's going to be secure, and it's going to be accessible whenever that customer comes back in to purchase something. Couple quick things before we run out of time today. Under settings, I just want to highlight a couple of things. So we had mentioned creating the flyers or the Panthers or all those other things in the inventory or as a part of the, the menu, so to speak. So that's handled here under product. Okay, so you can see this is where we have an item for Niners and Flyers and Phillies and Sixers. Okay, so those are in here. When you're going to add an item, you have the ability to specify both a name, SKU, category, cost, description, whether we're going to be tracking inventory, all that stuff. Okay. Images, obviously we have some images that were built in here, and you also have those modifiers, like the hockey player that we were going to add as a modifier, or a piece of cheese or a piece of bacon or something like that for the cheeseburger. That's where the modifiers can get added. Okay. Also in here, you can specify the different discounts that you want to offer, such as like a 10% off discount. Again, we can add a discount, and it's going to be either a percentage or a dollar amount. We can do that here. QuickBooks integration is a breeze, really. So you just click this authenticate button. I hope you're able to see this. An Intuit window just popped up here if you can't see it with login information. Basically, you're just going to log into your QuickBooks account, and it's going to link up in here, and then your transactions are going to be ported automatically over to your QuickBooks. Okay. Last couple of things here. We've got reporting. We're not going to get into all the reports, but there's a bunch of reports, batch reports, tax, tip, QuickBooks, inventory reports that you're able to pull in here. Also, in terms of resources, if one of your merchants does board, with Valor, there's some really good information in here. Like they've got a PDF on QuickBooks on how to get that rolling, on the Vault, how to use that, what does dual pricing look like. So again, PDFs on the different devices, whichever device they're using, they're going to have access to it right in here. They're also going to have videos and how-tos on how to use everything, and how to integrate with the different sites and how to set up various things. So again, it's a pretty nice portal in here, pretty nice situation. Again, the hardware is beautiful and very functional. The virtual terminal here is pretty intuitive and easy to use. Let's hop in here, share my screen, the current slide. Okay. Last little bits are the cost. Okay, so we talked about there being some add-on costs, but there being a bundle. So you've got access to the portal. It's $5 a month, $4.95, $2 per additional terminal. The virtual terminal. So if you get a Valor device, you're gonna have to get portal access, so that's $5 a month. If they want the virtual terminal, it's another $10 per month. The Engage My Customer, Engage Your Customer is $9.95 plus 5 cents per text. However, assuming they're doing all this, basically you're talking about $2 additional for the Engage Your Customer, because the $5 plus $10, you're already at 15, and then for a couple of bucks more, you can add the Engage Your Customer, right? So I feel like there's a ton of value there with some great hardware and a very, very functional and easy to use portal there. All right. Well, that's all we have here for Valor, and I did not let you out early. It's 1:30 on the nose. But if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me. Here, go ahead and take a screenshot of this, of my contact info. You can reach out to me here. While you're thinking, again, thank you so much for hopping on today. We're going to be doing a pretty cool webinar next week, next Thursday. I'm going to be sending out an email like I have been about it. It's going to be for Corona, and so hope you guys are able to make it for that. But we're looking to add value into your lives every week. So please keep coming. Thanks for joining today. Eric and Chris, thanks so much for hopping on. to add support. And everyone have a great rest of the week. Talk to you next week.